It's already
I know, isn't it
December here.
weird?
Time
Yeah.
flies. Time
When
flies.
I was an undergrad, it seemed like it took a lot longer between the beginning of the semester and the end. I must be getting older.
It's some kind of twisted thing happening.
Because you were in
Yeah,
the thick of it. Because you were in the thick of it. That's why.
Yeah.
maybe.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Mateo.
Oh,
How are you guys?
good.
Very well. Getting going today.
Okay, whatever.
All right, I'll share my screen on the agenda, and I pasted the link in the chat. Let's get going. All right, so here's sort of some organizational updates to start things off. And by the way, I will ask Michael to give his update first because he will be heading off in 30 minutes to meet with Andre Brown. So we will move his update up
Thanks.
earlier. Yes, that would be good because you do your update so much better than I do your update,
Ha ha ha.
as I attempted last time. I was just basically reading it in a very dry way. Okay, but my thing. So we have had some new volunteers cropping up. Folks coming in. I think there's been an uptick of sort of media, and I've been meeting with them. I've got it efficient enough so that I can pretty much walk through things in 30 minutes. But then I have been sort of passing people around. Not too many have actually come in on the Geppetto side, and anyway, I know that meeting is big, so I haven't directed as many to Matteo, but there are a couple of them I've been pointing in Michael's direction towards movement validation, and then the remainder I've been kind of bundling up into what appears to be, I think, a new area for us to build some community around, which is sort of a neuron muscle subgroup. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Essentially, some of the other volunteers that like Rainer and another gentleman named Ari and another gentleman named Abdullah. There have been now a growing number of people who have read the LEMS paper and understand a little bit about that LEMS modeling language, enough to be able to start going a bit further. More folks are reading the muscle modeling paper. More folks are reading papers on the biophysics to start really modeling synapses and this sort of thing. And so, and the other observation is just that after folks kind of do one iteration of getting themselves, of reading what's going on in the project, it's very helpful if there is a rhythm of meetings for folks to show up at, because then it gives them a target to do things. And when that isn't there, then often there's a challenge of keeping folks engaged, even folks that are otherwise very talented and motivated and would be getting stuff going. So been thinking a little bit about the structure of this, and I know that so basically these meetings I think have a fundamental seat limit. I don't think above really 7 or 8 people these meetings are super sustainable, at least as far as we've tried. Like I don't think this can be like a 20-person meeting. And we've already had some subdivisions going on. We've got the Geppetto meeting, which I think is a very nice sub-team meeting, and now we've got movement validation, which has been having its own independent meetings. And then there's this muscle modeling thing. So it does muscle and neuromodeling thing. So it does seem. So I'm going to make a proposal to this group that we move that we have this meeting that's I think kind of like a wrap up, like top level meeting maybe, that kind of maybe summarizes all the things that are going on in the project, and we change it to a 1-month meeting, and that gives room to the Geppetto meeting, which is happening bi-weekly, to cut a little bit of bandwidth out from folks like Matteo to have to check in every other week on that, and it'll also give some room to have some of these sub-team meetings kind of have some breathing space. So I think Michael has proposed on the list to do a standing monthly meeting on movement validation, which is good because more folks that come in, I kind of point them to that, and then they're meeting in that way.
That was definitely the idea of also, Jim also independently suggested the very same thing, so we're totally on the same page about that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then getting this modeling and then getting this neuron muscle thing going as well is just, it's like kind of a lot, for me to then, have that and then also have this meeting every couple weeks. So so I just wanted to have a little quick discussion if folks think that's a good idea, if folks have a counter proposal, if folks think it's a bad idea. What do we think about kind of changing this to happen every month and then kind of interdigitate some of those other meetings on weeks that this meeting is not happening?
I'm happy with that. I think there's loads. Initially, it was just this meeting, and then some other sub projects got traction, such as the data validation stuff with Mike, and people started aggregating around that. And then we kind of realized we had to do the same with Geppetto. And initially, we had a bunch of kind of recurring meetings, but it wasn't really the Geppetto meeting yet. And then now there is a Geppetto meeting, and I think those are the meetings where stuff gets done. This is more of a status report, and I think it's transitioning to that phase that we had foreseen this to happen at the beginning of the project, but we always said, well, for now, it's manageable like this, but I think the time has come that we try and do it this other way and see if that works out. So I agree. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think the pattern that I'm personally seeing is the fact that if there are something like 4 to 5 people, it can be a sort of like you do a quickly check up on everyone, you know where everyone is, and then there is still time to actually have discussions and design, etc., etc. But when you reach something like 10 people in the Hangout, a meeting is basically just enough to get everyone to give a brief update, and there isn't enough time to do anything at all. Like, I'm seeing this now. Even the Geppetto meeting, it's like at the beginning was like get work done. Now it's becoming more representative, and I'm creating new meetings to have separate discussions because otherwise there's just not enough time. And
yeah, that meeting is getting too big as well. It's like approaching 10 people.
Yeah, it's like always like a 9 to 10 people, and like I'm having separate meetings, for instance, now for the integration. They're not recurring, so it's kind of once-off things up until a problem is resolved. So we need to keep doing what you're proposing, Stephen, which is every now and then do a sort of check, saying if the structure of the meeting is still good, if it needs to be refined. I think it makes sense for for the OpenWorm, which is like the top level one, to be potentially yes, to be monthly. Potentially there could even potentially there could even be more people involved, but we know that the Hangout is a limit of 10 people, etc., etc. But being very representative and yeah.
Okay.
So basically, you're proposing a new movement validation, monthly validation, and the one for the neuron muscle meeting, we need to just pay attention to keep it in sync with whatever is happening in Geppetto, because we're having integration meetings in Geppetto, which are exactly about integrating neuron with muscle. There's all the work that we're doing with Dan Crucini, Sergey, and the NeuralML2 model. So
that's good. Yeah,
we need to figure out how to bring those two. What's the interface basically between those two?
Yes, that's a good point. And there could be some overlapping folks with that. So I've sent out so one interface point is that on Saturday I sent out an overview of mail to the discuss list, chock full of links to GitHub issues and basic descriptions, and something that I was hoping would be an on-ramp to folks who maybe haven't been following along as much, or just kind of are don't see the big picture. And there are names there, and there's even some references to some preliminary work or prerequisite work that folks would need to understand in order to get involved in that. And so that's one data point, that post on the list. But beyond that, right, the personnel of this meeting I think also should overlap with this stuff. So anybody here who would also like to be involved in that meeting, let me know. You can let me know right now. There is a poll. I've sent a poll around to folks that have already indicated interest for that meeting, but I haven't closed it yet, so I can send it a bit more broadly. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I don't know, Tom, if you might be interested in that. Might be something. Rainer's already sort of filled that out. And I don't know, Matteo, if you're interested. I think maybe sending it to Dan also makes sense. But the purpose of this meeting is to have LEMS be the underlying fundamental bridge between all that stuff. So the output of this stuff should be LEMS-based models, and that's one thing that I know that Geppetto can read LEMS stuff, then hopefully it should be able to integrate. But that is the purpose of that.
May I ask, and tell me if it's too in detail, but what does it mean that everything will be LEMS? As in, like the muscle cell, it's in your mouth too, which uses LEMS.
Right.
The SPH stuff is basically cybernetic.
Not dealing with the SPH stuff. That's right. This meeting won't be. This won't be. We won't be talking about the mechanical aspects.
Okay, so this is not about integration. Okay, in that case. So this is basically just modeling of the electrical properties of the muscle cell.
Yes, yes. I do think there needs to be a sub-team focused on the mechanical side, and maybe one is already forming. Yes, maybe one is already forming out of your thing.
That's what we're doing, exactly. We are worrying about the integration with the SPH. Okay, while this is like just at the computational sort of electrical.
Electrical. I'd say it's electrical. Yes, we're worrying about ion channels. We're worrying about synapses.
Okay. In that case, as long as the output is going to be neural too, the two things, that's how they interface. Okay.
Okay. Good. Okay, very good. For those just joining us, I pasted the agenda. We're just talking about basically moving this meeting to be monthly. So the next time we would do this would be in a month, and then some of the other sub-team meetings are kind of cropping up, in the middle of those. So for Rainer and for Andre, just heads up on that. Okay, but we've only got about 12 minutes left for Michael, so maybe what I will do is I will just take the rest of my updates, which are a little bit more just like me personally and not so much organizational, and I will just stuff them under Michael's updates under my own name, and we will give Michael the chance to talk about what's going on with movement validation.
Okay, sure. Thanks. So there's quite a bit of development in the movement validation team for sure. So to catch you up, back in October, we finished the MATLAB code port into Python. So that's done for features and statistics, which was the extent of the port that we wanted to do. So what's missing is still the GUI, if we want to have one, which we do, I think, and what's called pre-features, so connecting the raw skeletonized video to what's needed to calculate the features, so a couple of little extra details, and the computer vision algorithm, which we chose not to port because it was a bit of a bit chaotic in the original code. So that's good. And recently, Stephen received the database of videos that the Schaefer Lab recorded. So he's working on hosting that. So that's great. And another development is that we're also, since the OpenWorm conference, we're trying to build a closer relationship to Andre Brown's team. Now, Andre Brown used to be a postdoc, I think, at the Schaefer Lab, but now he's got his own lab at Imperial College London, and he's building a new tracker, a multi-worm tracker, as opposed to a single worm tracker. So we are working together, at least we spoke about the potential of working together to have their team build a tracker and specify the schemas for the kind of data that tracker is going to be producing, but then we would be creating the analysis pipeline for that and extending basically the analysis pipeline we currently have to accommodate the data that they'll be producing from their new tracker. So that's very good news, I think, to be working closely with their team.
That is terrific. That is really terrific.
And yeah, so in fact, I'm meeting with him in about 10 minutes to discuss some details of that. So I'm excited about that. Another development you might have seen in the mailing list is that we're going to try a standing meeting. So we're going to try to have a monthly meeting at first. Maybe it will accelerate to a bi-weekly, but for now, monthly, to try to keep everyone on the same page. So far, the active team has really been Jim, obviously, foremost, and then myself, and recently Chris Barnes has done some fantastic work preparing some computer vision algorithms. And I think some fire was lit under him when, in our meeting with Andre was saying, well, we have a postdoc, or I think it's just a PhD candidate working on a computer vision algorithm. And basically Andre's message was, well, we'll see who finishes first. So Chris heard this, and I guess so he's been working like crazy to get two computer vision algorithms working, one of which is a frame by frame and the other one using OpenCV. So it sounds like from the code that I'm seeing, it looks fantastic. So looking forward to seeing how that works with the big database of data that Stephen is setting up. So that's really the active team so far, is those 3 people, including myself. But we have so many potential new contributors that Stephen's been punting over to us, if you will, that potentially the team could be much bigger. We have over 5 people that have expressed considerable interest. Some of you met Toby. He's interested in working on with us, and several other people also. So hopefully the standing meeting will help to initialize some of those people, and I'm also meeting with a few of them one-on-one also. So I certainly have some work cut out for me to create well-defined tasks for those people so that they'll have things to do. So that's what's happening with movement validation.
Awesome. And yeah, thanks very much, Michael, for stepping up and coordinating with a lot of these folks, and as they pop up on the mailing list and whatnot, helping to get them pointed at what they can do and whatnot.
No problem. Jim is certainly helping with that also. So yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Terrific. Okay, cool. Any questions for Michael? Okay. Good, and I think if Porg were here, he would be dancing the happy dance that we are further engaging with biological labs and forming good,
right.
Good relationships and connections with them. So I really do think that's critical. Okay, good. Then let me finish up. Let me wrap up my updates now after you finish, Michael. We did have a neurokernel session a couple of weeks back. We met with Oral Lazar. And we cross-posted that on both mailing lists, and they're thinking about could they use their infrastructure to run 302 neurons or run the C. elegans connectome, and I haven't heard much back from that, but I think that would be an interesting leaping off point. So we'll see what comes from that. I still owe a cover letter for the SPH paper as we're sending it to a new journal. Andre, that's still on my list. Wanted to get to it this Saturday, and meeting with folks and getting the neuron muscle team thing going took up time, but that is still planned. The Academy is completed. We've done all the live sessions, and also all the spectator content has been put up, so I will be sharing that with those of you here. You can have a look, and we can think about what we're going to do with that as we go forward. The box of data, yes, is still here. I've opened it up. Starting to look at it. Still don't have it online, but that is in progress. And then later today, I'll be meeting with the DevoWorm folks. I think it's because it's a very different part of the project. I've been slower than I would like to get that integrated, but I'm hoping today we'll restart the conversation and keep moving forward with that. I haven't talked with those guys in a good number of months, unfortunately. So, but I think it's important. So I'm going to check in on progress and report back. If anybody wants to join, just let me know. Okay, let's keep going. Looks like Porg might not get a chance to join us today, so let's go ahead and check in with Rainer.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, I had a really good meeting with Stephen and Emma last week, and yeah, things seem to be going really quite well with the muscle cell modelling. Okay, I'll see. Right. Okay, at the moment, the modelling of the ion channels is looking really promising. We've got current voltage plots for each of the different ion channels in the muscle cell, and the shape of those is looking pretty close now to what we're seeing in the Boyle and Cohen paper from 2008. So we've actually got a working calcium channel now, and the two different potassium channels also are both seem to be producing the same sort of results as we're seeing in the Boyle and Cohen simulation. There's one major discrepancy in the scaling of the potassium current by the look of it. The actual shape of the current voltage curve is correct, but the scale seems to be out by a factor of about 3 to 5. So I'm looking into that to find out why that is. It's okay.
So I should say one thing as well as you're sort of, sorry if I put you on the spot there, but so I think a lot of the work that Rainer has been doing and a lot of the tool chains that we built, the nice thing about them as we go into this new neuron muscle team is that I think they serve as the template for a lot of the work that we're going to be doing from here on out to build get the synapse right between the neurons and that muscle cell, and then to flesh out the ion channels of those, the ion channels of the motor neurons that connect to that, and then that's the connection and the bridge to some of the other work with the connectome as a whole that several different groups have been putting together. And Rainer has some nice scripts where you can do virtual electrophysiology basically on the ion channels to verify that they match what papers actually say, which is really super cool. And so we're going to be looking at kind of extending that whole tool chain out as a more generalized infrastructure to the rest of this team as we go forward. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I see that Pureg's recently updated one of the issues we've been working on to say that he's written a script to compare the output from the Boyle and Cohen simulation to the values we're using in our NeuroML2 models. So that's one of the next steps for us to work on is picking that up and getting that working and just verifying our model against the one that they were using.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Stephen, you also flagged up that we need to be documenting a lot more of this in the README files for the project, because we've made quite a bit of progress on this over the last few months, and we're getting new volunteers into this bit of the project. So yeah, just making sure that our documentation's up to date is another important next step. We need to make sure that people are able to run the simulations and can find out about what's actually part of the project. So how to build and run the Boyle and Cohen simulation code that's now part of the project tree, and the Python port of that I've just been working on, and how to run the example models for each of the ion channels. So.
Okay, good. So that's so keep an eye out for that. As I mentioned before, I also made a post on the list to kind of point out to all these things that are going on right now there. So let's keep the discussion going offline on that stuff.
Yes, I'm not sure if I've actually missed out anything in that update that we've been working on, because well, yeah. I know that there have been a lot of small bits of progress in lots of different areas. So please pull me up if I've missed anything out there.
Okay. No, I don't think so. I think you're up to date. Okay, great. Very good. Let's go on to Geppetto. Lots of good stuff is happening over there. Matteo.
Okay. So what happened in the past 2 weeks is that we wrapped up Sprint 39. As part of that, there was release 0.1.9 that went out. So this is, but I believe I've already shown the functionality there. Although my brain is wondering whether that was a Geppetto meeting or an OpenWorm meeting. I think
what functionality? What functionality do you
like? For instance, connection between the different cells. Like visual groups, as an ability to highlight, for instance, the synapses in the connection. Yeah, no, I think I've shown that. Which was release 0.19. What we're now working on is Sprint 40, which will lead to release 0.2.0. So a couple of extra meetings happened in Geppetto. One is one happened and the other one is planned. The one that happened is the instance and types meetings. We're basically trying to solve some of the challenges that are basically given by the multi-scale aspect of the models. So the fact that once you start having a hierarchical model, for instance, and if you have a network of a lot of cells, and then each one of the cells has a lot of for instance, you find all the channels for all the cells, so you define for all the connections the different synapses, for instance, for chemical connections, and it is very easy to end up with a lot of data. So we had the first instance of a special meeting to basically try and solve this problem in like creative ways. So that is going on. In terms of the other meeting that is planned is the one that I was talking about earlier, Stephen, the one with it's gonna be with Dan, Boris, Joe, probably Sergey, and it's going to be in terms of doing the integration between the cybernetic model of the muscle cell and the model that Rainer was just talking about for the electrical model of the cell, and making that happen in Geppetto. So starting with the design, there was already a conversation that happened during the OpenWorm retreat. So that's where basically these meetings are following from that. In terms of things that are happening, I will very quickly go through updates, keeping Joe who's here. So we're working fixing some issues and improving performance for all the features that were added in the past month. Jesus is working on that already. For instance, the visual group became much faster than they were because we introduced some optimization, and we're not splitting anymore the morphologies into each segment, but we're grouping according to coloring, so that allows us to create much less meshes, which brings up the frame rate. Adrian has successfully completed an integration of Geppetto with open source Brain. So open source Brain, just for a reminder for folks, is for instance the place where we're hosting the muscle cell model, and which is basically a repository of computational neuroscience. So it will now be possible to basically use Geppetto to look at all the models that are in there. And Adrian was working on this integration. Matt was working and is still working on the user interface for the worm sim and some functionalities connected to replay. Joe might say more about that later. Boris, well, the prototype is completed, but it has not been yet integrated, and the prototype of the connectivity widget. So this is something that will allow us, for instance, to see for C302 basically the connectivity created by the connectome in different ways, either with a connectivity matrix or with a graph. So that will be a very nice way to explore the properties that kind of emerge from the connections. And Sergey is working on extracting a simulation loop from Cybernetic, which is once again related to the worm sim, and is also working with Dan Kruchinin for the cybernetic side of the integration. So creating basically having a model that can be of a single muscle cell that can be used in Geppetto, and I believe we have that now, although there is still a problem that Sergey is going to work on. Basically, it is one muscle, but it looks like three, just because there are too many. There are as many particles that would be there in three organized as three muscle cells, but that's something that Sergey said he would fix. Martin has completed the extraction of the skeleton, so that again in the realm of the worm sim. So now we do have basically a skinned animation that is exported from Cybernetics. Some issues to fix, is fixing those. So Dan is, as I said, has completed now this loading independently of the electrical model and the fluid dynamics model, and he will start working on the integration in January. We met with Dan just the other day, and is now busy because of work. So, but he said that in gennaio. Yeah, I wrote in Italian in the agenda. In between Geppettos, I wrote. Okay, so in January he will. So in January he will start working on the integration, but we will have the meeting before then to move forward with the design. Kyle is still working on the integration of the lead Roadrunner, while Dominic will be. In the last email, he said that he should join the next Geppetto meeting. He was on holidays so far, so there should be something good coming out of that as well. And yes, that's pretty much. I was with Boris, like the NeurML team yesterday. We were discussing basically what libraries would need to be created for serving better LAMs, both LAMs and NeurML. So that's again, there are some discussion that will that are starting to happen on GitHub for these issues. If there's anyone that is working with Java and is playing with the LAMS model, for instance, Stephen is part of that other sub-meeting, so that will be a new repository for people to look at, which will allow to basically have a API to access the LEMS models from Java. And development, we're planning development for that now as well. So I think this is pretty much it for me.
All right, awesome, good stuff. And yeah, let's keep the visual stuff going too. So next time, let's look at all the cool visual stuff that's happening. I always love seeing all the stuff. Good. All right, let's go on to Giovanni with an update on WormSim.
Okay. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, nice tree, by the way.
Thank you. It's getting festive around here.
Cool.
It was a bit too big, bigger than I expected. Like it's up to the ceiling.
Glorious.
Yeah. Still decorations ongoing. But anyway, okay. So, and on the other side, you can see a bunch of WormSim posters.
All right, OpenWorm posters.
Yeah. Sorry, OpenWorm poster. What am I saying? Yeah. So, yeah, if anybody here doesn't have one of those, just drop me an email. We got a few spare ones for members of the team. So I know that people were in London got one. But Tom, for example, if you want a poster, give me your address, and I'll send you a nice goodie in the post. Okay, so WormSim. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing right now in terms of contributions. And there's still the effort on the use cases document. It's guiding development from a UI UX point of view. Development is happening, and if you follow that link there on the waffle board and filter for WormSim, pretty much you can see what's actually going on in real time, what kind of tasks are being worked on, and what's coming up next. But I'll just give a brief summary of everything down here, and I broke it down what's been done since last time, what's happening, and what's next up. And there's a bit of overlap with what Matteo was talking about, but I'll tie it up in the context of the WormSim. So tasks, they were finished. And again, for anybody who doesn't know, WormSim is building technology to bring the worm in the browser, to expose all the good stuff that we are doing through a web-based pretty much tool, and it's based on Geppetto. And this is pretty much what we're doing as a result of the Kickstarter. And it offers a window for us to expose to the public different areas of the product. One, for example, is the SPH stuff. And we're now building a recording for the SPH stuff that Andre and Sergey put together. And then we're putting it into a Geppetto recording format, and that's going to be part of the WormSim. The view of the mechanical simulation for dynamics and contracting muscle cells. And then another window will be offered on the C302 solution, showing the worm electrophysiology and all the cool stuff that's happening from the point of view with NeuralML widgets and tree widgets and visualization and all that good stuff. And then possibly any other area that the project produces output, we can add to that. We can add, for example, I don't know, movement validation. We can show the recordings of the movement validation. We can stream them in Geppetto recorded format too. So I believe there was some preliminary conversations on that between Michael and the Geppetto team with Matteo. I don't know what's the status of that, but that's an opportunity for everything that we're doing in the project. It can accrete, and we can expose it via the WormSim once the WormSim is delivered next June. And so far we are on track. So what's been done since last time? We were investigating this NetCDF library for reading, recording, and mechanical simulations, and Matt was able to put together a bunch of unit tests that prove that we can read that. So that's done. It's been merged in the development branch. And then Matt did a lot of work on aligning the WormSim UI to the mockups that we have in the use cases document. That's, I'm going to just drop a link. It's in the agenda. I'll drop a link in the chat, and if you don't have access to that, just request it. Everybody should have access if you requested it before. Then, so now it's looking a lot more like those mockups. And next time that we meet, I want to show you some stuff. I don't have a deployed version right now, but I know that Matt is working to refresh the micro server that he had deployed the thing on. So next time I definitely want to show some cool stuff. And then, as Matteo was saying, there is work around extracting meshes and the skeleton animation from the SPH recording. So the SPH recording is particle-based. We have Martin, who is a very skilled guy who specializes in 3D computer science and algorithms. Like this is coming up with a new algorithm to do this. It pretty much is extracting a mesh and skeletons and then transformation to make the thing move, and pretty much reproduces exactly what we see in the SPH, and is doing that not just for the cuticle, but also for individual muscle cells. So that stuff is done, and he gave us recently a demo of that. It looks really cool. It's got a C++ implementation now. What it's doing right now is these meshes that we're extracting kind of wireframe meshes, skinning them to make them look nice, and it's doing that for cuticle and muscle cells, and all that stuff. He has it working in his C++ sandbox, but pretty much we need that data. We need to throw that data into a Geppetto recording file. And that's what Matt is working on. So Matt is, now that we proved that we can read the recording file with this netcdf library, we need to stream that data, the recording data, to the client, which is kind of ties into what's already possible in the realm of Geppetto. So stuff is currently being streamed, but this is coming from a different source, and is going to have to be streamed in the same way and in the same runtime trees. So the capability is already there. It's just been worked on as we speak, troubleshooting and make sure that everything looks nice as it should, that the stuff is in the simulation subtree as it should be, and so forth. So that work is happening right now, and then Sergey is helping us build a looping recording, because we want the SPH recording to be able to loop, so that it never, I mean, the user doesn't have this experience of the worm that just jerks into different positions, but it kind of smoothly reproduces the same pattern, and when it finishes, we just start it again. So one thought about that I was thinking is that it would be nice to have alternative looping patterns, such as start from straight, start wiggling like a sinusoidal, then go back to straight, and then go back to sinusoidal. But I think the default one we're aiming for is start as a sinusoidal and wiggle, and then looping like that. So you never see the worm straight. But I was just thinking myself about this, and I don't know. I think it would be nice to mix it up a little bit. There are two different patterns in there, but that's my opinion, and we can discuss it in one of the meetings specific for that. But regardless of that, once we can extract the looping pattern, then it doesn't matter. We just need to decide what's the starting position. Okay, so what's going to happen next is that after we can safely or have unit test and integration test showing that we can stream the Geppetto recording to the client, then we need to expand the Geppetto recording format to include this visual transformation information that is necessary to animate the meshes on the client side of Geppetto, and Matt will work on that support from me, probably Sergey, with the output that Martin is producing. And this is, at the moment, the Geppetto recorded format is just a bunch of key value pairs and things like that, and It's just a bucket for stuff. So we need to kind of refine that a little bit and make it so we can include these. It's just basically either matrices or quaternions. It sounded more like quaternions because they're 4 times smaller than the matrices for the transformations. But it's going to be like, we just need to make sure that we can, that there's a schema for the recording format that has a place for the visual transformation to go in. So that's going to happen next, based on the output from Martin. And then we need to actually go and build after the schema is expanded, we need to go and build the SPH recording. The math is going to work on that as well. And then finally, we need to add the capability on the Geppetto front end in JavaScript to pretty much animate this mesh with skeletons with those vision transformation that are coming every step from the server. So that's pretty much what's going on. So if anybody has questions, I can answer them.
Is there anything? Do you have anything to show? Any pictures? Any
No, not today.
snapshots?
I didn't prepare, unfortunately. So next time I want to show more stuff. Hopefully the actual prototype of the implementation, right? But this time I don't have a deployment ready. I didn't do preparation enough, so I'm sorry for that.
That's okay. That's okay. I think we all have. Obviously, there's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's under every development. So I just need to talk to Matt and take a snapshot of something that works in between doing a kind of rearranging stuff and have that for the next meeting as a demo, just to give people an idea of the state of things and not just talk. But yeah, no, that's a good point. We need to do that.
I need to do that myself as well. Just show more stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. But anyway, no, it sounds like it's good progress, and we're still set for June, I think, right?
Yeah, we're still on time. We're kind of cruising. Sometimes we build some buffers into our estimates of how long it would take. Sometimes we eat it up. Sometimes the tasks are shorter than we expect. So overall, we're still good.
Good.
Overall, we're still good.
Very good. Okay. Then let's go to Andre, joining us from Novosibirsk.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Good to see you. Well, unfortunately, not much today to tell about because, well, usually every end of the year, end of November, beginning of December, in our institute is time to prepare reports for the work done during the whole year, and for me to do a lot of administrative work. So every day quite a lot of stuff, which is not quite pleasant to do, and not so much pleasant as OpenWorm. But I wanted to be up to date with what is going on in the project this year.
Okay.
So I hope next time I'll have a chance to make something cool.
All right. Excellent. No worries. The worm goes on. There's always a lot going on anyway. So, but good to see you. Okay. Then I know also Tom is I think overwhelmed with the end of his stuff, but also good to see you. And do you have any news as well for us?
Well, I did. I grabbed the cybernetic model and built it on my machine and ran it, and in the trying to get it on the black light computer that I used for the other simulations. So I ported it over there. I'm kind of concerned about the OpenCL aspects of running it there, permission-wise and things like that. So I shipped it over there, and just a little problem was that my login was disabled because I overran my budget, my computing budget. And so I've put in a request for 30,000 more core hours. And I had to submit a progress report to kind of prove that I wasn't just wasting their time or whatever. So I submitted the draft that I wrote for the paper as proof that I was actually trying to do something reasonable. So hopefully, last time it was pretty quick, them approving things, and I'm hoping that they'll do that, and then I can just proceed with trying to run the thing just to see how it works and find out what's what. And I did just get your email you sent me, and that does sound interesting. So I'll be following up on that with the muscle model
Cool.
team. So that's pretty much it for me.
Well, that's exciting though, getting that stuff running. Do you think you're kind of getting through all the practical issues in terms of the building, or is there more help that you're going to need?
No, I got it building and running. It was really slow it was just on a virtual machine on my machine, so it's going to be horribly slow. So I'm just, like I said, the OpenCL, is there going to be issues with permissions running on that machine? I don't know. I don't know that much about things, so I guess I'll find out, but I just sent a pre-built copy of it over there, and so I'm hoping it'll all just start working, and I don't have to actually build it over there. So, but we shall see.
Okay. Cool. Well, that would be exciting to see that working, see what kind of performance we can get out of that. So good luck, and let us know. All right, guys. Looks like we've gone all the way around. Does anybody? I know we got an update from Balash, who I think has some more suggestions for some of the WormSim stuff, but not much more than that. Does anybody have anything else they want to say for the good of the order here before we break?
No, I just wanted to point people at something that actually, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to give people a link to this article that I found.
Yeah, I think it's better if we don't really discuss it so much.
No. Yeah. It's just this on that. Just read it, have a laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Well, we'll leave you with that then.
I'll get worried after you.
It looks like it's having the right effect on everybody. So cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks very much. Let's try this new structure here. So we'll do this. I guess we'll be slated to do this in a month, which means at the beginning of the new year. I know everybody goes away on holiday. I will coordinate over email to see what's the realistic next date for this. But that probably means this meeting won't happen until 2015. So, but I'm hoping I will see all of you guys separately in other meetings and other contexts anyway before then. But just in case, Happy New Year and have good holidays and all that good stuff. All right. Yeah. Very good. It's been a good year for OpenWorm, so looking forward to another one. All right. Thanks guys.
Everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.